lot of time on the road today, and I thought I would give some thoughts from this last week. I've been in eastern Canada, just above Maine. In fact, I'm driving through Maine down to Boston right now to go home. And on the way up, my wife and I listened to an audiobook of a book called Light After Death. The guy's name is Vinny something. And that's my radar that I brought with me. So, Light After Death, it's a near-death experience book, for lack of a better word, about a guy who dies and goes to the other side and spends some time there. It has a lot of similarities with other near-death books that I have read, and I've read a few. Really inspirational. There were a few things that I got out of it. One of them, one big one, is where he had a guide that was taking him through and teaching him some things and showing some things on the other side. And as he discussed the purpose of life, I believe that this guy Vinny, his guide asked him what the purpose of life was, and he said, well, it's a test, isn't it? And his guide said, no, it's not a test. And talked to him about the purpose of his life was to progress and to grow, to get experience. And I actually don't remember the exact words that were used, and that probably butchers whatever that was. But as I spent the week in New Brunswick this week up at the family farm, one of the things that I was reminded of was in the near-death experience in the afterlife or whatever this guy experienced, he was able to interact with plants in nature, with grass and with flowers, and he was able to communicate with them and feel their thoughts, feel their spirit, and kind of commune with nature in a very real way. And after I'd been there a couple days, and I was going on walks in nature, and this is the backwoods, Canada, and dirt roads, and the farm's 150 acres, and has some just beautiful area. And I started, after I'd been there a couple days and was walking around, I started noticing the flowers and the grass and the plants and the different things that were there that I tend to just walk by and not notice these at all. And I thought to myself, what if I interacted and appreciated the plants and the flowers and the nature on this side as if I was on the other side, as if I could have this communion with them? What if I had that same appreciation whether I was on this side or on the other side? And how would that change things for me? And so I began to look at the various colors, look at the natural things that were growing there, which as I began to look around, I realized that they were just stunning. And the things that would pop up in nature that hadn't even been planted there, the flowers, the weeds, the trees, were beautiful. They were gorgeous. And as I spent time focusing on that and appreciating that, I noticed that I began to open up. And when I say open up, feeling the Spirit and being able to commune with God really is a process of opening up our heart and our soul, because natural man is closed. The natural man's heart is hard, and that means closed. Soft heart is a heart that is open, that is receptive, that is humble, and that is open outward to other things, to other people, to other creatures, to whatever. So as I just went on a walk, instead of being caught in my thoughts or stresses or whatever, as I began to notice the plants and the animals, or plants and the trees and birds and things like that, that very process was a process that allowed my heart to open. And really, a big part of the struggle in this life is being able to have the Spirit with us always. And getting to that point requires us opening ourselves up. And so nature actually has a really big role in that, much bigger than anybody would suppose, and is a tool, a resource, a gift that is there that allows us to connect to God. I made another video, it's on my channel here, called Your Connection to God Depends on Your Connection to Humanity. I could expand on that and should expand on that. Your connection to God also depends on your connection to His creation, to nature, to the things around you. There are gifts, there is beauty everywhere, and it's all of God's creation, all of it. And so that is all there. That connection is available for people, for us to connect to people, for us to connect to nature. It is all there to help us open up and commune with God. As we commune even with nature, we begin to commune with God, because that creates this openness, and that allows His Spirit to flow in and through and back out of us. So, all of this is a chance for us to open up and be able to understand God better. As when you are open, the questions that you have begin to have understanding, begin to be answered. When you're closed, that understanding isn't there. In order to actually properly communicate and understand the things of God, you have to be open. And that creates deep down into your soul an understanding that you couldn't get in any other way. So I will just say that this appreciation, the willingness to look around and get outside of ourselves and appreciate other people, appreciate God's creation, nature, is a practice that is natural on the other side and is unnatural on this side. The natural man is not generally open. But when you go to the other side, you will notice that everything is much more open than it is here. So if you want to be able to commune with God like you would on the other side, do what you would do on the other side, but without having that reciprocated to you. Act as if you were on the other side toward other people, toward their spirits, toward plants, toward animals, toward God's creation. Be grateful. Be open. Be happy. Allow God to infuse you with the joy and appreciation as if you were on the other side. On the other side, there's gratitude. There's not the stress of, keeping all the commandments and doing everything just right and all the check boxes. That is a thing, but it is not done out of stress. It's done out of love. And there is time for joy, and there's time for openness, there's time for gratefulness. And we need to be living in that mode rather than in the stressful, oppressive, anxious mode that we live in here, wondering if we're doing everything that we need to do. That's totally the wrong attitude, and having that mindset actually is counterproductive to connecting to God and to being who you need to be. So those are my thoughts on this. I hope this helps someone.